I rang the doorbell and waited. Nothing. I knocked. Harder this time. Still nothing. I exhaled, already regretting coming all the way here. 2 months, 2 whole months, without rent. That wasn't like her. My tenant was reliable, quiet, always on time. And now, radio silence. Had she moved out? Skipped town? Was she even okay? I knocked again, more impatient now, and when suddenly, quick! The door cracked open, and standing there wasn't my tenant. It was a man, a young man, tall, dark, broad-shouldered, built like someone who worked with his hands or fought life head-on. His skin was smooth and deep brown, his jaw sharp enough to cut glass, lips full and slightly parted like he'd just woken up. His hair? Thick, a little messy, as if fingers had just run through it. I was staring. I knew I was staring. And judging by the slow smirk creeping onto his face, so did he. "You're not my tenant," I said, forcing my voice to stay steady. He leaned lazily against the doorframe, arms crossed. "Nope." I waited for him to explain. He didn't. Just watched me with dark, unreadable eyes. Something about him made my stomach tighten. Not in fear, not exactly. "I'm looking for the woman who rents this place," I said. "Where is she?" He tilted his head, studying me like he was deciding something. Then with zero urgency he stepped back and pushed the door open wider. "Come inside?" It wasn't a request. It was something else, and against all better judgment, I did. The apartment was dim, the air thick with the scent of warm blankets and faint antiseptic. I stepped inside, and there she was, my tenant, lying in bed, looking pale and fragile, nothing like the quiet, independent woman I'd rented to. Her eyes flickered open, and when she saw me, she tried to sit up. "Jennifer," she rasped, her voice weak, "I'm so sorry about the rent. I meant to—" "Hey, don't worry about that now," I said, holding up a hand. "You should be resting." "She doesn't listen." The young man, Elijah, as he introduced himself, muttered, crossing his arms. Up close he was even more striking. Strong jaw, smooth dark skin, an effortless kind of presence that made it hard to look away. "My mom's been sick for weeks. I came to take care of her, but—" he exhaled, rubbing the back of his neck. "It's been rough. No insurance. Everything's going to her meds. That's why—" He stopped, but he didn't have to finish. I got it. Normally I'd be annoyed. 2 months behind on rent. That was a problem. I wasn't exactly the type to hand out sympathy. I ran things straight. Business first. But standing here, looking at his mother, looking at him, I heard myself saying something completely out of character. "Forget the rent for now," I said. "Just focus on her. If there's anything you need, anything I can do, just ask." Elijah's eyes snapped to mine. For a second he didn't move. Didn't even breathe. Then something in his expression softened, like I'd just lifted a weight off his shoulders. I swear, for half a second, it looked like he wanted to hug me. Instead his lips parted like he was about to say something. "Maybe thank you, maybe you don't have to do this." But before he could, I reached out and gave his shoulder a quick pat. Bad move. His shoulder wasn't just a shoulder. It was solid, strong. My palm met muscle, firm and warm under his thin t-shirt, and suddenly the air between us shifted. I felt it. He felt it. The corner of his mouth twitched just slightly, and I yanked my hand back like I'd touched a stove. Well, I stammered, suddenly aware of how small the room felt. "Take care of her." Then I turned and walked out of there before I did something even more out of character. By the time I got to my car, my heart was racing. What the hell was that? I wasn't nice. I didn't go around handing out sympathy and rent forgiveness like some kind of charity. And I definitely didn't react like that just from touching someone's shoulder. but as I gripped the steering wheel, trying to shake the weird warmth still lingering on my fingertips, I had to face it. Something about Elijah had me acting real strange. I drove halfway down the street before reality hit me. 2 months, 2 whole months without rent. And what was I doing? Playing Mother Teresa? Acting like some kind of savior? That wasn't me. This apartment was my income, my only income. I wasn't some rich retiree handing out charity. If Elijah and his mother couldn't pay, I had to find tenants who could. Simple as that. And yet, I turned the car around. When I knocked this time, Elijah answered faster, his expression a mix of confusion and curiosity. "Back so soon?" he asked, leaning against the doorframe again, those dark eyes scanning me. I crossed my arms. "I have a perfect solution for you." His brows lifted. "Do you?" "Yes, why don't you two move in with me?" He blinked. "What?" "I live in Biltmore. Big house, too much space. You need a place, I need paying tenants here." I shrugged like this was the most logical thing in the world. 2 birds, 1 stone. Elijah just stared at me. Then he let out a short laugh, shaking his head. Wait, so let me get this straight. We can't afford rent here in North Phoenix, and you're offering us a place in Biltmore, the neighborhood where all the big shots live. He narrowed his eyes, studying me like I'd just told him he won the lottery. "We couldn't afford that in 100 years. I waved a hand. "I'm not charging you." That shut him up. He rubbed the back of his neck, still watching me, like he was waiting for the catch. "So let me get this straight. You're letting 2 people, one of them sick, crash in your big fancy house for free?" "Exactly." "That's weird." I shrugged again, playing it cool even though I had no idea what the hell I was doing. But I knew one thing, I wasn't just offering out of kindness. No, there was something about Elijah. A connection, an energy. Maybe it was loneliness on my part, maybe something else. But if housing his mother was the price to have him close, I could deal with that. Elijah turned to look at his mother, who was still lying in bed. He walked over to her, leaned down and murmured something too low for me to hear. She looked at me, eyes searching, then back at him. A few seconds passed. Then Elijah stood up, exhaled, and turned back to me. This would be a huge favor," he said, his voice quieter now. "Like, you don't even know. It's like you're God sent." "Don't get emotional," I said, cutting him off before he could make this into some heartfelt moment. "Just pack your things. I'll arrange a mover." He let out a breath, shaking his head like he still couldn't believe it. "All right," he said. "We'll do it." The second I left that apartment, I was buzzing. Excited. A little too excited. I pulled out my phone right there on the street and called Rick, an old friend who ran a moving company. "Hey, Rick, you free tomorrow?" "For you, sweetheart. Always." He chuckled. "What's the job?" "Small move. Just a couple of people from North Phoenix to my place in Biltmore." There was a pause. "Wait, your place?" "Yes." Another pause. "Jennifer, you adopting strays now?" I rolled my eyes. "Just book me in, Rick." All right. He laughed. "Tomorrow morning, first thing." I hung up, feeling a thrill run through me. Elijah was moving in, and suddenly the hours stretched long. When I got home, I paced around, too restless to sit. I'd lived alone for years, my house quiet, my routines predictable. But now, knowing Elijah was coming, it was like something in me woke up. I headed straight to the bathroom. If I was going to have company, I needed to look the part. First, a long shower, then waxing down there. Shaved my legs smooth as silk. Did a full facial routine, exfoliating every inch. Even threw on some lotion that smelled like vanilla and honey. Halfway through, I caught myself in the mirror. What the hell was I doing? No matter how much I buffed, scrubbed, and smoothed, I wasn't 20 anymore. Hell, I wasn't even 40. Age was just a number, sure, but not when it came to this. I sighed, running a towel over my face.